In a world increasingly focused on combating climate change, the United States finds itself at a crossroads under the leadership of former President Donald Trump. This video explores how his administration's policies not only broke promises made in the Paris Climate Agreement but also propelled the nation toward environmental deterioration. From prioritizing fossil fuels to rolling back vital environmental protections, we will delve into how these decisions have jeopardized both America's crucial role in global leadership and the health of our planet. Join us as we unpack the far-reaching consequences of Trump's climate agenda and confront the pressing need for sustainable solutions. 1. Paris Climate Agreement. A broken promise. In 2017, the Trump administration made the controversial decision to pull the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement. This marked a significant shift in the nation's commitment to fighting climate change. The Paris Agreement, signed by nearly every country, aimed to limit global warming to below 2 degrees Celsius. By withdrawing, the U.S. abandoned its international commitments to reduce carbon emissions, a move that was heavily criticized both domestically and internationally. This decision sent shockwaves through the global community, as the U.S. was a pivotal player in the original negotiations. The lack of American leadership in this arena was seen as a setback for global efforts to combat climate change. 2. The fossil fuel agenda. Oil, coal, and gas. During Trump's tenure, the administration prioritized the production of oil, coal, and gas. Regulations that had previously restricted pollution from these industries were rolled back, allowing for increased emissions. This focus on fossil fuels was seen as a step backward in the fight against climate change, as it encouraged the continued reliance on non-renewable energy sources. Critics argued that this approach not only harmed the environment but also ignored the economic potential of renewable energy industries. The emphasis on fossil fuels was perceived as catering to industry interests at the expense of environmental health. 3. Renewable energy. A missed opportunity. The Trump administration significantly reduced funding for renewable energy programs, such as wind and solar. This decision slowed down the transition to cleaner energy sources, undermining efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Renewable energy industries, which had been growing rapidly, faced new challenges due to decreased government support. This reduction in funding was criticized as short-sighted, as renewable energy has the potential to create jobs and stimulate economic growth. By deprioritizing these sectors, the U.S. risked falling behind other countries that were investing heavily in clean energy. 4. Power plants and pollution. Weakened standards. Under Trump's leadership, emissions standards for power plants were weakened. This policy change allowed coal plants to continue polluting at high levels, contributing to increased air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. The rollback of these regulations was seen as a victory for the coal industry but came at the expense of public health and environmental protection. Critics argued that maintaining strict emissions standards was essential for reducing pollution and mitigating climate change. The decision to relax these standards was viewed as a step backward in environmental policy. 5. Protected lands. Open for drilling. Millions of acres of protected U.S. lands were opened for oil and gas drilling under the Trump administration. This decision raised concerns about the impact on ecosystems and wildlife habitats. The opening of these lands for drilling was seen as prioritizing short-term economic gains over long-term environmental preservation. Conservationists argued that protected lands should remain untouched to preserve biodiversity and natural beauty. The decision to allow drilling on these lands highlighted the administration's focus on resource extraction over conservation. 6. Environmental policies. A reversal of progress. Over 70 environmental policies were reversed during Trump's presidency, including restrictions on methane emissions and auto emission standards. These reversals were seen as a significant setback in efforts to combat climate change. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, and relaxing restrictions allowed for increased emissions from oil and gas operations. Similarly, rolling back auto emission standards hindered progress toward cleaner transportation. The reversal of these policies was criticized as undermining previous efforts to reduce pollution and promote sustainable practices. 7. Scientific censorship. A stifled voice. Scientists faced censorship under the Trump administration, and funding for climate research was cut. This limited efforts to address global warming and hindered the ability of researchers to study climate change. The censorship of scientific voices was seen as a threat to evidence-based policy making and an impediment to understanding the impacts of climate change. Researchers argued that robust scientific inquiry was essential for developing effective solutions to environmental challenges. The reduction in climate research funding was viewed as a barrier to progress. 8. State emissions standards. A federal blockade. Trump's administration attempted to prevent states like California from setting their own strict emissions standards. This move was seen as an encroachment on states' rights to implement policies that protect the environment. California, known for its leadership in environmental policy, was hindered in its efforts to reduce emissions and promote clean energy. The attempt to block state emissions standards was criticized as undermining state authority and limiting progress toward reducing pollution. This federal intervention was perceived as prioritizing industry interests over state-led environmental initiatives. 9. Offshore oil drilling. Expanding risks. The expansion of offshore oil drilling under Trump increased the risk of spills and ocean pollution. This policy change raised concerns about the potential impact on marine ecosystems and coastal communities. Environmentalists argued that expanding offshore drilling was a dangerous gamble that could lead to catastrophic spills. The increased risk of pollution from drilling operations was seen as a threat to ocean health and biodiversity. By prioritizing oil extraction over environmental protection, the administration was criticized for disregarding the potential consequences of expanded drilling activities. 10. Global leadership. A diminished role. While other countries accelerated their climate goals, the U.S. fell behind under Trump's leadership. This shift led to a loss of the nation's leadership role in global climate efforts. The lack of commitment to addressing climate change was seen as a missed opportunity for the U.S. to lead by example. As other nations set ambitious targets for reducing emissions, the U.S. was criticized for its lack of action. The diminished role in global climate leadership was viewed as a setback in the fight against climate change, as the world looked to the U.S. for guidance and support.